The mockery begins. The great hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with silver light, 1,000 banners of alien worlds floating in slow rotation above the assembly. Delegates of every shape and color filled the curved chamber, their voices echoing like the hum of a storm. At the center stood the human representative, tall and calm, his dark uniform marked only with a small blue emblem of Earth. He waited in silence while the council's speaker, a towering insectoid being from the planet Voss, lifted its glassy wings and called for attention. Agenda Point 9, the speaker clicked. Admission request from the planet Earth, home world of the so-called Deathworlders. A wave of laughter swept through the chamber, sharp and metallic, echoing off the crystal walls. The word Deathworlders had become a joke among the stars, a reminder of how strange and violent humans were. One reptilian delegate hissed, "Their planet tries to kill them every hour. Storms, beasts, poisons. How do they even live?" Another replied, "By luck, perhaps, or madness." And the chamber erupted in laughter again. The human ambassador did not move, his expression calm, his eyes watching them all as if they were children throwing stones. He knew this would happen. He had read every report, every insult, every article calling humans primitive savages. But still he had come, because Earth had believed that reason could reach even those who feared it most. He raised his hand slowly, and the lights dimmed slightly as the speaker signaled for quiet. "My people," he began, his voice even, "only seek to join this council in peace, to share knowledge and protect life as all of you claim to do." The laughter turned into murmurs, then whispers, and someone shouted from the far seats, "Peace? From the death world that eats its own?" The hall roared again with cruel amusement. Screens across the chamber flared with images of Earth, volcanoes, deserts, lightning storms, hurricanes tearing across oceans, every shot chosen to make Earth look wild, dangerous, unfit for the delicate order of galactic civilization. "Your world breeds monsters," said a crystalline envoy from the Rel Union, its voice like breaking glass. "Your soldiers fight even when dying. Your machines destroy more than they save. You do not belong among us." The human's hands clenched at his sides, but his voice remained calm. "If strength offends you," he said quietly, "then perhaps you should not provoke it." The council's laughter returned, louder than before, some even banging their desks in mock applause. "Is that a threat, Deathworlder?" someone shouted, and the speaker's wings clicked in fake warning. "Please," the insectoid said, its tone dripping with amusement. "No violence in the hall, human." The ambassador looked around the chamber once more, slowly, as if memorizing every face, every smirk, every pair of eyes filled with contempt. He thought of Earth's long history. The wars survived, the oceans crossed, the stars reached through effort and sacrifice. He thought of the Terran colonies now spreading quietly beyond Sol, and the fleets in dry dock waiting for command. He thought of the billions of humans who still believed in peace even when surrounded by mockery, and then he smiled, just slightly, a human smile that seemed too calm for the moment. "Threat," he repeated softly. "No." He took a slow breath and turned toward the exit doors of the grand hall. "But when you finally call for help," he said, voice steady, "remember this day. Remember your laughter." The room fell strangely silent for a moment, the sound of his boots echoing against the polished floor as he walked away. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably, feeling something cold in his tone, something they did not understand. Others only laughed harder, shouting behind him, "Run back to your death world, human." Outside the council dome, the human delegation stood waiting beside a small shuttle marked with the Terran Union insignia. "Sir," one of the aides whispered, "should we cancel the proposal?" The ambassador looked up at the stars above the council world, bright and clean, untouched by storm or struggle. "No," he said. "Let them have their laughter. It will be their memory soon enough." As the shuttle lifted, its engines glowed faint blue, fading into the endless black of space. Inside the council chamber, the aliens resumed their session, already forgetting the human who had dared to stand before them. They moved on to trade disputes, border lines, resource rights, the usual chatter of an empire grown comfortable. Yet among the laughter, A few older species exchanged quiet glances. They remembered legends whispered from the edge of known space, of ships that vanished after attacking Terran patrols, of colonies that never reported back after minor human encounters. They said nothing aloud, but the thought lingered like smoke. Back on Earth, deep under the crust of the planet, the Terran Defense Command monitored the Council broadcast in silence. Generals and strategists stood around holographic displays of the galaxy, their faces unreadable. Public mockery confirmed, one officer said flatly. They deny alliance and insulted the ambassador. The commander, a gray-haired woman with eyes like steel, nodded once. Record it, she ordered, and archive the message. Code the file under Council Incident 1. She turned toward the massive screen showing the distant stars and whispered, "They still don't understand what Deathworlder means." The room went quiet except for the hum of machines. Beyond the glass, the first of Earth's secret shipyards glowed faintly against the void. Rows of unfinished dreadnoughts floated in silence, waiting, each marked with a single woe. Hard across its black hull, Phoenix. The humans had not come to beg. They had come to observe, to wait. And when the day came that the galaxy cried for help, Earth would remember every laugh and answer in fire. The provocation. Weeks turned into months after the Council humiliated Earth, yet the galaxy had not forgotten the laughter. Clips of the meeting flooded the HoloNet, showing the calm humans surrounded by alien mockery. It became a joke on hundreds of worlds, memes of the Deathworlder diplomat asking for peace. Every alien species that had feared humans now saw them as weak, small, and harmless. The Kroth Dominion was the first to act, a brutal empire known for enslaving smaller species. They had watched Earth's quiet colonies forming near the edge of their territory. To them, it looked like opportunity. New worlds, unguarded, full of resources. The Kroth High Command declared a simple message to the galaxy. The Deathworlders pretend to be strong. Let us teach them fear. On a distant human colony called New Horizon, families lived under twin suns. They farmed red soil, built cities of glass and steel, and raised children who looked up at alien stars. They believed peace had finally reached them, that war was a story from old Earth. But one morning, the sky burned. The Kroth fleet arrived without warning. Hundreds of warships descending like shadows. The first orbital bombardment erased entire cities in seconds. Communication towers collapsed, flames consumed the ground, and the screams went silent. The few human ships that tried to fight were torn apart. The Kroth commander, Lord Varkoth, broadcast his victory live to the entire galaxy. Behind him, Earth's colony burned like a sun. He laughed as he said, "So these are your Deathworlders. So fragile, so easy." The galactic audience watched and laughed too. To them, it was a spectacle, a show of dominance. A reminder that Earth was nothing. On the Council channels, some even joked, perhaps the Deathworlders are extinct already. Only a few old species stayed quiet, remembering the human ambassador's warning. When you call for help, remember your laughter. But Earth did not speak, not yet. The Terran Union sent no public response, no message, no threat. It was as if humanity had vanished into silence. Many took that silence as surrender. The Kroth began to push further, attacking smaller outposts, enslaving captured humans. They paraded them through alien streets as trophies, calling them tamed Deathworlders. Yet deep beneath the calm oceans of Earth, inside a facility known only as the Core, generals and admirals gathered around a table of light. A young officer stood up and said, "The Kroth have crossed into Terran space." The commander nodded slowly, her voice cold and sharp. "Then it is time," she said. "Activate Project Phoenix." Across Sol system, hidden stations came alive. From the moon's dark side to the frozen orbits beyond Neptune, vast hangars opened silently. Inside them, titanic ships floated, sleek, black, and silent. Their hulls bore the symbol of Earth and a name burned into metal. TDS Vengeance, TDS Soulfire, TDS Horizon's Wrath. Each one was a dreadnought, larger than any alien ship ever built not for conquest, but for the day Earth would be mocked once too often. "Send a message," the commander ordered. "To the Kroth fleet." The transmission was short, calm, and direct. "To the Dominion forces occupying New Horizon, Return our people and leave our system immediately. You have 12 hours. No threats, no shouting, no anger. Just quiet authority. The galaxy laughed again when they saw it. The Kroth commander Varkoth sneered on live broadcast. He said, "Earth speaks like gods, but fights like children." Then he turned his ships toward another Terran colony and fired. 12 hours later, the stars above Kroth space dimmed. Sensors across the sector began to fail. Navigation systems froze. Communications died. Pilots shouted over static, trying to understand what was happening. And then space itself seemed to split apart. A single Terran ship emerged. Dark, silent, surrounded by blue fire. It was not like any ship the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull absorbed light. Its engines burned without sound. On its side, the letters glowed faintly. TDS Vengeance. The Kroth fleet opened fire instantly. Hundreds of plasma bolts crossing the void. Every blast hit the Terran dreadnought. And yet, it didn't move. The lights along its hull shifted, patterns of energy weaving like a living storm. Then came Earth's reply. A single beam of pure light erupted from the dreadnought's core. It sliced through space, clean and silent. When the light faded, half the Kroth armada was gone. No explosion, no debris, just dust and echoes. Across the galaxy, communications networks went wild. The footage spread faster than any government could stop it. The same races that had mocked humans now stared in silence. The memes vanished overnight, replaced by trembling reports. "The Deathworlders have moved," one message read, "and the stars burn." In the council hall, delegates demanded to know if it was true. The speaker of the council whispered, "It cannot be." But deep inside, even it felt fear, because the humans had once promised peace, and now they had answered in silence and fire, the warning ignored. The Kroth Dominion could not believe what had happened. One human ship had erased half their fleet without a single warning. Their admirals screamed for explanations. Their scientists searched for logic, but none could find an answer. They told the galaxy that the Terran ship must have used forbidden weapons. They claimed Earth had broken every galactic law of war, but deep down, every Kroth officer knew the truth. They had provoked something ancient, impatient. Still, arrogance blinded them. Pride is louder than fear, and they refused to show weakness before the galaxy. So the Dominion sent out a message that echoed across every communication channel. "To the so-called Deathworlders," said Lord Varkoth, "you caught us unprepared once. It will not happen again. We will burn Earth itself, and the galaxy will watch your ashes fade." The Council of Worlds remained silent. No one moved to stop them. No one spoke for humanity. They had all laughed once, and they feared to face the memory of it. On Earth, inside the Terran Defense Command bunker, the same message played on a dozen screens. The commander stood with folded arms, her eyes unreadable. Behind her, young officers waited for orders, their faces pale in the cold light. "Should we respond?" one of them asked softly. The commander shook her head. "Send the same message as before," she said. Just 12 words. The officer nodded and began to type. "Return our people, apologize, and leave Terran space, or be removed." That was all. 12 words. No threat, no demand for war, only an invitation for reason. The message crossed the stars, carried on quiet waves of light. It reached the Kroth capital within minutes, but they only laughed. Varkoth broadcast it live again, mocking every line. He said, "They think their single ship frightened us. Foolish Deathworlders. You will learn who truly rules the stars." And once more, his fleet moved toward another human colony. Far away, the colony called Eden's Reach slept under gentle sunlight. It was a young world, full of forests and rivers, a place where humanity had hoped to begin again. Families lived in peace. Children played under alien skies. They did not know that death was already on its way. When the Kroth fleet appeared above them, the sky turned black, alarms screamed, cities panicked, and the colony governor tried to send a signal to Earth. But before the message left the atmosphere, the Kroth fired. The ground split apart. As fire fell from orbit, every mountain glowed red, every ocean boiled, millions died within hours, and the survivors looked up to the sky and whispered Earth's name. The broadcast reached the galactic networks. Varkoth appeared again, smiling beside the burning world. "Deathworlders," he said, "your fire is gone. Your courage burned with your colonies. and the galaxy laughed with him, again. But their laughter was weaker now, shorter, nervous, for as he spoke, strange readings began to appear on their scanners. Space itself trembled, as if something enormous was moving through the void. The laughter stopped when the lights began to flicker across entire star systems. Energy spikes, unlike anything recorded, spread across the rim of known space. And then, in the darkness beyond the Kroth borders, came the whispers. Earth is waking. From the moons of Mars to the shipyards of Titan, engines came alive. Thousands of Terran warships began to move in silence. No transmissions, no speeches, no threats. Only coordinates, only purpose. Each ship's crew was quiet, their faces calm. They had all seen the footage of burning colonies, of laughing aliens. They had heard the Council's silence. Now they waited for only one word, and that word came from the commander herself, her voice steady as iron. Engage. The Terran fleet ignited. Stars lit up as thousands of drives flared at once, turning the black into gold. The ships moved like ghosts, faster than light. Every computer across Kroth space blinked with a single alert. Unknown signature detected, Terran origin, approaching. Then came silence, the kind of silence that happens before the storm. In the Kroth command center, Lord Varkoth stared at his screens in disbelief. "How many ships?" he shouted. "Too many," his aide whispered. "They're everywhere." Outside, the stars began to vanish behind the incoming fleet. The Tehran dreadnoughts were massive, each the size of a city, each carrying the power of worlds. They did not broadcast threats, they did not demand surrender. They only closed in, quiet, precise, inevitable. For one brief moment, a Kroth officer tried to send a plea. "Earth Command, we surrender, we request ceasefire." But before the signal could even reach across space, a single Terran dreadnought appeared above the Kroth homeworld. Its engines glowed like a sun, and its captain said one sentence broadcast in every language across the galaxy. "You were given your warning." Then the stars burned white, and the screams of the Kroth fleet vanished into static. The galaxy that had ignored the warning now watched in horror, because they understood too late. Earth's silence had never been weakness. It had been mercy, and that mercy had just ended. The fire of Earth, the Kroth homeworld, burned beneath a silent sky. No explosions, no sound, only waves of white fire rolling across continents. Cities that had stood for thousands of years vanished in seconds. The oceans turned to mist. The ground itself glowed like molten glass. From orbit, it looked almost peaceful, a sunrise that would never end. The Terran fleet moved through space like shadows made of flame, every ship perfectly in formation, their black hulls reflecting the light of destruction below. They did not celebrate, they did not cheer. To them, this was not victory, it was justice. The humans had sent warnings, and those warnings had been ignored. Now the fire of Earth had come. Across the galaxy, millions watched the transmission in silence. The council chambers that once echoed with laughter were now filled with fear. Delegates stared at their screens, their faces pale. Some tried to speak, but words failed them. The same human ambassador who once stood there in mockery was now a symbol of doom. One by one, the alien empires began shutting down their trade routes, locking borders. Every race that had mocked Earth suddenly remembered the look in that ambassador. Chowia's eyes, meanwhile, deep inside the Terran flagship, TDS Vengeance. The bridge was quiet, the crew focused, their faces calm and hard. Admiral Leon stood before the main viewport, watching the Kroth world burn. Her voice came through every ship in the fleet, steady and cold. "We do not kill for pride," she said. "We act because mercy failed. The galaxy will learn. Earth is not weak. Earth is patient." The crew did not respond. They only nodded. They knew this was not war. This was a lesson. In the next system, the Kroth's neighboring worlds tried to flee. Thousands of refugee ships launched into the void. But when the first Terran destroyers appeared, they stopped, not because of weapons, but because of silence. Each human ship transmitted the same signal. "Do not run. Do not fight. Stand down, and you will live." And the alien fleets obeyed, trembling as Terran ships passed by like storm clouds. From the orbit of burned worlds, drones scattered beams of light across space. Each carried one message, one warning, one name. This is the fire of Earth. Those who harmed humans would remember it, those who mocked humanity would fear it, and those who sought peace would finally understand the cost of breaking it. On one colony moon, a young alien technician watched the Terran ships through a cracked window. He had seen the propaganda, the jokes, the lies. He whispered softly, "Deathworlders. They're real." His friend shook his head in disbelief. "No, they're gods." But the human captains would have disagreed. They were no gods. They were what the galaxy had created through its cruelty. Far beyond, the Council of Worlds gathered in panic. Emergency meetings filled the air with fear and blame. Some shouted that Earth must be destroyed before it became unstoppable. Others said that to attack now would mean extinction. No one could agree, and in their argument, something worse happened. A transmission arrived, marked with the Terran seal. It contained no threats, no speeches, no emotion, just a single phrase. "You watched them die, now watch yourselves." Panic spread like wildfire. Whole governments began to evacuate their capitals. Ships fled toward deep space carrying rulers and scientists who once mocked humans. But there was nowhere safe to run, because Terran fleets were already there, moving like lightning through hyperspace. Each fleet carried names of lost colonies, engraved into the metal of their ships. Horizon's Wrath, Eden's Fury, New Dawn, every destroyed world now had a vengeance ship bearing its name. The galaxy's media tried to twist the story. They called the humans terrorists, machines, demons. But even their broadcasts trembled with fear, because every night, across every world, people looked up at the stars and saw something glowing red. Not a sun, not a nebula. Terran ships, waiting, watching, reminding. Inside the Council core, the same insectoid speaker who once laughed at the human ambassador now sat shaking. Its wings twitched as reports flooded in. Kroth fleets gone, 3 systems silent, unknown energy readings everywhere. One aide whispered, "Should we contact Earth?" The speaker's voice cracked. "No. What would we even say?" And in that moment, the great Galactic Council, the proud rulers of the stars, realized something terrible. They had mocked the one species that understood both mercy and vengeance, and now, the fire they had ignited would not stop. Back on Earth, under the shadow of the Terran command tower, the commander stood before the global assembly, her voice calm as ever. She looked up at the holographic screen showing 1,000 alien systems burning, and she said, "We gave them warnings. We gave them time. We gave them peace. Now, we give them understanding." The chamber was silent as she raised her hand and gave the final command. "Initiate Operation Dawnfire." And across the stars, human ships vanished into jump space, every destination marked with a name, every engine burning with memory, for humanity had been mocked. But now, the fire of Earth was spreading, and soon the galaxy would learn. Mercy ends where Earth begins, the pleas and the silence. The war had changed the stars themselves. Every communication line hummed with fear. Every broadcast whispered one name, Earth. Worlds that once mocked the humans now shut down their lights, hoping to be unseen. The Terran fleet did not boast, did not announce victories. It simply moved, system by system, leaving silence behind. The Kroth Dominion no longer existed. Their capital burned to dust, their leaders gone, but their allies, their merchants, their friends across the galaxy felt the echo of their destruction. Their ships vanished in deep space. Their colonies stopped answering calls. No one saw what happened. No one heard explosions, only silence. In the high spire of the Council core, panic filled the chamber. Ambassadors who once laughed at humans now trembled behind shields and guards. They sent message after message toward Earth, pleading for peace, begging to talk, but every signal returned the same response. Transmission refused. The insectoid speaker who once mocked the human ambassador now spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "We must show them we regret. We must make them see we were wrong." But another delegate shouted, "They will not listen. They answer only with silence." And they were right, because the humans no longer needed to speak. In orbit above the ruined Kroth world, the Terran flagship hung still, its hull glowed with faint blue light, reflecting the fire below. Inside, Admiral Leon stood before a hollow map filled with red marks, each one a fallen world. Her officers waited quietly. "Status of the outer sectors?" she asked. "All hostile activity neutralized," a voice replied. Leon looked down for a long moment, then whispered, "And still I call us monsters." Across the galaxy, the surviving alien powers met in secret. They planned a desperate message. One final plea broadcast across every frequency. Their message began with trembling words. "To the people of Earth, to the Deathworlders, we surrender. We beg for mercy." But the humans did not respond. Their ships hovered over alien skies like black suns, silent, waiting. On the world of Velar, a once mighty empire sent its fleet commander to speak directly with the humans. He flew alone toward a Terran cruiser, his hands shaking. When his ship docked, no soldiers met him, no guards, no sound. Only a single screen lit up in front of him. It showed the face of a human woman, the same ambassador the galaxy had laughed at months ago. Her expression was calm, her eyes tired. "You want mercy?" she asked softly. The alien bowed, his voice trembling. "Yes, Great One. We beg for it." The woman nodded slowly. "Then remember this," she said. "Mercy is what we asked for before you burned our colonies. Mercy is what we offered before you mocked our dead." Her screen went dark, and the alien commander wept in silence. The next morning, the Valor capital found its skies filled with Terran ships, but they did not fire. Instead, they released small drones that repaired their damaged infrastructure. They healed the wounded, they rebuilt water systems, they restored order. The message was clear. Earth's vengeance was not chaos, it was justice. Humanity did not destroy for pleasure. It destroyed cruelty and rebuilt what was left behind. When the galactic networks broadcast this, the reaction was confusion mixed with awe. "They punish, and then they heal," one commentator whispered. Another replied, "They are not conquerors, they are judgment." And so began a new name whispered across the stars. The Firekeepers, the Deathworlders who burned tyrants but guarded the weak. Still, the coup. Ansil sent one last envoy to Earth itself. A delegation of 20 alien leaders landed on the blue planet for the first time. They were escorted through silent cities where no music played. Humans lined the streets, watching in silence as the delegates passed. Every human face carried the same look, calm, unreadable, powerful. In the great chamber of Terran command, the delegates knelt. The commander stepped forward, her voice soft but heavy as thunder. "You begged for help when you needed slaves," she said. "You laughed when we asked for peace." She turned toward the star map showing hundreds of systems now under Terran protection. "Now you will live under peace, true peace," she said. "But you will never forget who gave it to you." The aliens bowed their heads, tears mixing with fear. They had mocked the Deathworlders, and now they would live by their mercy. When the council delegation returned home, the galaxy waited for their report. The speaker stood before every channel and said only one sentence. "We saw Earth, and we saw the fire that sleeps beneath its oceans. It does not burn without reason." And with those words, the laughter that once filled the galaxy never returned. Above Earth, the Terran fleet remained, silent and watchful. Ships drifted like stars, their engines glowing faintly. They were not conquerors. They were guardians, forged from pain. Humanity had been mocked, hunted, and betrayed. But in the end, it answered not with rage, but with purpose. The fire of Earth still burned, not to destroy, but to remind that peace was born from the ashes of arrogance, the Council's fear. The galaxy was no longer laughing. Every star system that once mocked Earth now spoke its name in whispers. Trade routes had gone silent. Empires had stopped their wars, and even the pirates of the Outer Rim hid their ships. Because somewhere, out there in the dark, the Terror ran fleet watched. No one knew when Earth's ships appeared, or how they traveled so fast. Scanners showed nothing until it was too late. It was as if the void itself moved for them, and when they came, entire armadas vanished without a single explosion. Only the quiet glow of drifting embers remained. The Council of Worlds had not met in months. Half its members were gone. Some fled, others surrendered, some simply disappeared. The great hall that once shimmered with silver banners was now dim, its seats empty. The insectoid speaker sat in silence, staring at the same spot where the human ambassador once stood. It remembered the laughter, the arrogance, the jokes. Now every echo of that laughter haunted the walls like ghosts. "Has Earth replied to our peace request?" one delegate asked. "No," came the soft answer. "They only sent coordinates." "Coordinates?" the speaker hissed. "To what?" "To here," the aide whispered, voice trembling. And then the lights went out. The great chamber fell into blackness, the only sound a low vibration in the air. Through the massive dome above them, they saw it. A Terran dreadnought, larger than the entire council tower, blocking the stars. Its hull gleamed with blue fire, symbols glowing faintly across its surface. No weapons fired, no threats came. Only a beam of light shone down into the center of the hall, and within it, a human hologram appeared. It was the same ambassador who had once stood before them, the same man they had mocked. Now standing calm amid the silence of power, his voice was steady, the same quiet tone that once carried a warning. "The council watched as our people burned," he said. "Now we watch you." No one dared to speak. No one moved. "You asked what Deathworlders are," he continued. "We are what your cruelty made us. We fight not because we love war, but because peace was denied to us." He paused, looking around at the two trembling delegates. "This is not conquest," he said softly. "It is correction." The hologram flickered, and then vanished. Above them, the dreadnought turned slowly and disappeared into the void, leaving only silence behind. The speaker collapsed back into its chair, its glassy wings trembling. "We cannot fight them," it whispered. "They don't need armies, they have fear." Around the galaxy, the message was already spreading. Entire governments surrendered before a single Terran ship arrived. Worlds raised human flags in surrender, asking only to be spared. And yet, the humans did not take their planets, they left them alone, only marking them as watched worlds, systems that lived under silent observation, never invaded, never harmed, but never free. Rumors spread that Earth had built something beyond even fleets, a network of stations orbiting dying suns, a grid of sensors spanning light years. They called it the Veil. It saw everything, heard everything, and judged everything. If a world began to enslave, if an empire raised weapons in arrogance again, the Veil whispered its name back to Earth, and then the Fire Fleet moved. To some, Earth had become a god, to others, a guardian. But to the Council, it was fear itself. They lived under its shadow, not knowing when the Fire Fleet would come again. Meetings were quiet now, words chosen carefully. Even jokes had vanished, replaced by respectful silence. When someone dared to speak of Earth, they said, "the death world." But their voices carried reverence, not insult. One night, as the speaker sat alone in its chamber, the stars outside flickered. For a moment, it thought it saw faces in the dark, human faces, watching, and a voice, soft and distant, echoed through the room. "Peace is kept by the ones who know war." The speaker fell to its knees, shaking. It understood then that the humans were not rulers of the Galil. The Axii, they were its balance, and if balance ever broke again, the fire of Earth would return. Back on Earth, beneath a golden sunrise, children played beside old soldiers. Statues of the fallen colonies stood tall, each engraved with one word: remember. In the Terran command tower, Admiral Lian watched reports coming in from every system. "Council subdued," one officer said. "Outer sectors under observation." She nodded. "Good," she said quietly. "Let them rest. Let them live long enough to understand why we had to burn." And as the sun rose over the blue oceans, she whispered, "May they never force us to light the fire again." The message of fire. For months the galaxy had lived in silence. Trade resumed slowly, but laughter never returned. Every ship that crossed the void looked twice at the darkness, afraid of what might watch from it. The council spoke in whispers now, every word measured, every motion small. No one dared to test Earth again. Then one night, without warning, every star net screen across the galaxy flickered. Every frequency, every channel, every display filled with the same symbol, a blue circle around a small white dot, the emblem of Earth. And then a voice, calm, steady, and unmistakably human. It was the ambassador once more, the man who had once been mocked before the council. To the peoples of the galaxy, he began. We did not seek your fear, we sought your respect. We asked for peace, and you gave us fire. So we answered in kind. Behind his image, the screen showed scenes of burned worlds, then scenes of rebuilt ones, alien children being fed by human medics, ruined cities restored by Terran engineers. We are Deathworlders, the voice continued, and that name no longer shames us. It reminds us that life is fragile, that peace must be guarded, that mercy must be earned. The broadcast reached every corner of known space, from frozen moons to desert planets. Even the smallest outpost stopped what it was doing and listened. Ned, we will not rule your worlds, he said. We will not take your freedom. But know this, if cruelty rises again, if arrogance blinds you once more, the fire of Earth will return. He paused, eyes soft, voice turning quiet. Remember what we were when you laughed at us. Remember what we became when you made us fight. And remember that we always gave a warning first. The image faded, replaced by a single view of Earth seen from orbit, blue oceans, white clouds, green continents, the home of the Deathworlders, calm and alive. Across the galaxy, billions stared at that world and felt something they had never felt before. Not just fear, but respect, even admiration. For they understood now that Earth's fire was not born of hatred, but of love. Love for its people, love for life, love for peace hard-earned. In the council hall, the speaker stood and bowed before the silent transmission screen. We mocked them, it whispered, and they showed us who we truly are. Around it, the remaining delegates did the same, lowering their heads. From that day forward, a new law was written into the Galactic Charter. No planet would be denied aid because of fear. No species would be mocked for where they were born, and above the Charter's seal, in small letters, was engraved one line from the human message: mercy ends where cruelty begins. Back on Earth, Admiral Leon stood by the ocean, watching the sunrise paint the water gold. Children ran past her laughing, their voices soft and free. She smiled, for the first time in years. The fleet now rested in orbit, engines quiet, weapons cold. Humanity had become the unseen guardian of the stars, not conquerors, not destroyers, but keepers of balance. The fire of Earth had done its duty. High above, a single Terran dreadnought drifted across the horizon. Its name shone faintly on its dark hull. TDS Remembrance. It carried no we. Upons now, only archives, stories, and the last recording of the ambassador's voice. We are the children of a death world, it said. We do not burn because we hate. We burn because we remember. The ship turned slowly toward the void, engines lighting the sky like a second sunrise, and as it vanished into the deep black, the message of fire echoed across the galaxy one final time. Soft, eternal, unchallenged. We are Earth. We warned you once. Now you will never forget.